Hello, everybody out there in the interwebs. I am Todd Marks, President and CEO of Mindgrub Technologies, coming to you from Baltimore, Maryland. And we have some hometown heroes with us today, some leaders of Atlas Restaurant Group. We have Joe Sweeney and Erin Black. Joe and Erin, if you could start, introduce yourselves and what you do for Atlas.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having us. We're honored to be here, and we're honored to be a partner of Mindgrub. My name is Joe Sweeney. I'm Director of Marketing and Public Relations at Atlas Restaurant Group. I've been working with the group for about 10 years now. So I've seen a lot of growth. I think I've seen from one restaurant all the way up to whatever we have now, 50.
One, maybe 51. As of yesterday.
Erin Black. I'm VP of Marketing and Design. I've been with Atlas now for a year. My background was a split of both agency side experience and client side experience.
Excellent. Well, welcome. It's great to have you here in our home studio. Let's get into it. So Atlas has been just on an absolute tear. And you said it started with one restaurant, wasn't it? Like an ice cream stand or something?
So if you go back to 2007, I guess it was, Alex Smith, our owner, yes, he opened up a Haagen-Dazs in Harbor East right after college. And that's kind of where he cut his teeth in the hospitality industry. From there was a deli, Harbor East Deli, which is still open today. From there, he went into his more fine dining restaurant, the first one being Uzo Bay in Harbor East, which is
So there.
Yeah, the growth has been pretty amazing in these past 10 years. Even outside of Baltimore, we have 29 in Baltimore, and then we have 3 in Houston, 1 in Boca Raton, Florida. We have a couple in Annapolis. We have 1 in Philadelphia. So it's been an exciting ride.
And Haagen-Dazs, that was the only franchise operation at the time, right? And you're not operating the Haagen-Dazs anymore, correct?
So Alex still is operating.
He still has
Yeah.
that. Okay.
It's not technically under the Atlas umbrella,
Yeah.
but Alex is still the owner.
Oh, too fun. And then the first, call it half dozen restaurants were all your invention, right? But now more recently, it's been a lot of M&A, right? I definitely saw like the Valley Inn. I was there before. The Valley Inn has been there forever. I walked in the other day and I can't believe like you raised the roof, like in the bar. It's now a central bar. I mean, the design that you implement is just to the nines and it's always spot on. So, I can't thank you enough because I think we had a couple restaurant groups before in Baltimore that owned maybe 2 or 3 restaurants, a lot of chains. I mean, our whole downtown was plagued with chains and I don't want to throw any of the chains under the bus, but what you've brought to Baltimore and now the rest of the nation is just outstanding. And so what would you attribute that growth to? I mean, it's been 10 years, like 2007, you said was the origination of it. And so now we're looking at 15, 17 years, 51 restaurants. Like that's unbelievable growth. What would you attribute that to?
I think it's a mix. I think both Alex and Eric Smith obviously are Baltimore bred. They want to invest in the city that they've grown up in and the community that surrounds. So it's really important for us to invest with both real estate, but also in the restaurants so we can provide jobs for the community around. And that's kind of the key point we look at when any other city that we go into. So whether it's Boca Raton, whether it's Philadelphia, and now Delaware, that is an important factor for us. We have a lot of unique concepts, but we're starting to take some of the concepts that are already established, like a lock bar, and bring those to other cities because we've seen success on that concept. So it's easy for us to execute and get off the ground as we continue to get bigger.
Absolutely. And you manage all the restaurants, right? You're not like, even with Lock Bar, right? You're going to be on your second location, maybe a third location soon. Do you ever intend to franchise those out?
We own and manage. So we do not franchise at this time. And I don't think that's going to change.
And you even help own or help manage other restaurants that you haven't even historically been the owner, correct?
That's correct. So Delaware, again, we just acquired Big Turn Group. It's in Rehoboth Beach and Wilmington. There's 16 concepts. The majority we do own, but some we do manage. So that's something that just, transpired this past summer and we're really excited about because our customer and guest base really transcends, right? To Baltimore, to Annapolis, to the beaches. So we're hoping we can take that guest experience that you see in Baltimore and they can have the same guest experience, at that beach at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of that guest experience, which is what, brought us together, is the loyalty mobile app. And, we've had a lot of other restaurant groups inquire about that mobile app because like everything you do to the nines, it's really well designed. And Mindgrub obviously had help with that. We, helped design and develop the app, but even before our involvement, what made you think to not just use an out of the box, off the shelf app? Because, the point of sale systems all provide them these days and the only 2 providers they have them, but you really wanted to do something custom. What brought you to that, realization?
But I think if you go back even a little bit further, if you go back 3 years or so, we are participating in all your normal marketing and advertising for Atlas Restaurant Group. So, we have print ads, we have billboards on 83, we have all these digital ads. And that's something you do have to do as a company, but there isn't a direct ROI. You can't see which customer saw that billboard driving down 83 and came into the restaurant because of it and spent this amount of money. So our ownership kind of challenged us with trying to bridge that gap. We're spending all this money on advertising. Prove to us how this is working. And while we still do those traditional advertising, this was something that I started to explore because you can see your guest behavior more directly. When I started looking at other things that could potentially help bridge that gap, a loyalty program kept coming up. But as I'm exploring, for the majority, it's fast casual concepts that have it, like your Starbucks and your Dunkin' Donuts and stuff like that. And I didn't understand why that couldn't translate to fine dining or our style restaurants as well. And as I, continue to explore that, it made sense that we can incorporate that into our program.
Oh, absolutely. And then the customers love it too. I think I heard a statistic once where a customer with the loyalty app versus without spends something like 10, 12% more annually.
It's almost double. So it depends location by location and also property by property, but we have seen tremendous success in really reading that data of loyalty versus non. It's really the more that we can engage our loyalty members, the more loyal they are to us. So if we can get them to convert over 3 visits, they are becoming a loyal member to us, and we can see that check average drive. And they're the ones that are really day in, day out coming to our restaurants and spending more money.
Yeah, and it's almost a bit of a game too. When I said that we take my members all the time out to the Atlas restaurants. In the beginning, I didn't have the app, despite us developing the app, but I generally pick up the checks, right? CEO of Mindgrub, I always paid the checks. And it was like a game. Everyone's like, oh, well, we know Todd's not paying for this check. So everybody, as soon as the check comes, they all have their app because they scan that and then they get the loyalty points for it, right? So then I'm like, so download the app. I'm like, I want my own points,
At this point, if you're not using it, you're leaving free money on the table.
Yes. No, literally, when that check comes, everybody was sitting there ready for their phone, right? And it's almost like, what do they call it? Game with credit cards where credit card roulette, right? Yeah. So everybody puts their credit card down and you draw 2. One person pays, the other gets the points.
Well, it's funny. The other day, we were out to lunch with the marketing team, and as Erin was filling out the check and writing the tip from across the table, I was scanning marketing. I got the points.
Oh, that's too funny. So only one person can scan?
That is right. But you can split checks, and if you split checks, then you can scan.
Nice.
But obviously, you can't share the entire check to multiple people for the same amount.
So. Yeah. No,
so you just got to be quick with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, be quick. I mean, have you had any instances of people walking around and scanning other people's checks?
So that's fraud is always top of mind. And we actually do have a lot of security measures in place on the back end that we get alerted. We have reports that we run all the time. So we're on top of it. There's, that's the problem with some of these things that you go into, but we're on it.
But that's a great question. So for example, to talk a little bit more specific about that, if a user goes down the line and scans a few checks at one time, the program will alert us like, hey, this is unusual behavior. No one's eating and drinking this quick and closing their check. So it will send us a message and we'll look into that then.
Oh, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And in general, what personal identifiable information is there in the app, right? You're obviously not storing their social security numbers or even credit cards. You can pay, right? But that goes directly to point of sale. Does the app itself have any, real security needs as far as data?
So go ahead.
The only things that we ask for are first name, last name, email address, cell phone number, and birthday.
Got it. And despite all that, it is still locked down on the back end in the cloud.
It's locked down in the back end for our own use. We do not sell data. We do not share data. And honestly, we use it to benefit the customer. So we ask for a birthday, not because we want to know how old they are. We want to celebrate their birthday and give them a special reward. Mm-hmm. However, they want to be communicated towards. Do they want to get push notifications? Do they want to get an email instead? So we're really trying to collect that information so we can curate based off of what our customer wants.
That personalization. I mean, you do such a good job. whenever we will, book one of the Atlas restaurants, I'm always like, make sure to put it under my name, because every night Eric and Alex are looking at the list of who's in the restaurant, and I think they work 24/7. But I know if my name's down there, I'm going to get a visit by Eric or Alex. I always bring my top clients to the Atlas restaurant because I know one of the owners is going to show up and say hi. That level of detail is outstanding.
Exactly. And that's what Atlas was kind of built on, that type of hospitality. So it's how can we translate that to this mobile app?
Absolutely.
And even with Atlas Rewards, our Atlas Reward members, like we said, are a very valuable guest for us. So they're VIPs in itself. And we actually have started integrating that little star of Atlas Reward member into Open Table to make sure that that's incorporated. And our servers are asking about the app. Make sure you scan, talking through it, because again, we want to make sure that they're treated just like a VIP.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that experience in the app, that personalization and that treatment, is very similar to your in-person engagement. Like I had dinner out with some other friends you have like a French bistro, the variety show Monarch, right? So we're at Monarch. Eric shows up and says hi and everything. He's like, what are you guys doing afterwards? We're like, oh, I don't know. We're just going out to dinner. He's like, well, we have a new kind of piano bar that is right by James Joyce, right? What's that piano bar called?
Order of the Ace.
We're wrapping up dinner, right? And the waitress comes over like, we already reserved your table at Order of the Ace. And of course, we're like, well, let's go. Right? Hadn't been there. We sat down. It was wonderful. There was like music there. It really felt like a just high kind of speakeasy. And it was so neat because that continuity of just going from one Atlas location to the other, we didn't have to think about it.
Right.
And it was laid out. And that's kind of what the app does for you. But really, like, all the restaurants are in there, all the menus, right? And those loyalty points will transfer for any of them. So in theory, I could have gone from Monarch and then gone, and is it that quick? Could I use points at Order of the Ace?
Yes. It's immediate. Yep.
Yeah, so it's immediate use case. So why would I go anywhere else when I just got my points here and I want to use them there?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what were some of the challenges then, as far as like, getting into tech and adding this customer loyalty app on top of what is a very fine dining experience?
Well, I think the first one was budgeting and convincing ownership that it's worth dipping our toe into this, because it's not a cheap technology. So the challenge was to get that approved and have them understand what the value could be.
Right.
But you have to invest in that first, which is a little bit of a challenge. And luckily they took our word for it, and we were full go.
Data now to back it up.
Exactly.
And then I think the second part is obviously implementation, right? So it's getting the message out that we have this loyalty program, but also front of house staff talking about it. It's an extra step of service. There are a lot of steps of service. So incorporating them and making it feel natural doesn't feel like, have you signed up for a loyalty program, but more conversational, whether it's in the beginning when they're sitting down, when they're being walked to their table, or at the end, and just a light reminder. So we just want to make sure that, that was a heavy lift, but with a year under our belt, we can see that even internally, we tell the different properties who's the highest, who's lowest, and it's a little bit of a competition. So it's good. A little good gaming happening inside too.
Yeah, from an operations perspective, how does that happen? Because like in a restaurant, right, like there's front of the house and back of the house. The customer experience is generally front of the house, but as far as like specials, that comes from back of the house, right? Your chef will, say, well, here are the specials today. And they'll go to the front of the house manager and say, make sure you tell each of the customers special, but it's ingrained. How did you get each of your waiters to basically pitch downloading the app? Because when I sit down, they ask, do you have the mobile app? Do you know the benefits of the mobile app? And that's phenomenal that they do that. Was it a script? How did you get them to do that? Because it's unusual.
It was a script, and they do have a lot to remember. So it was a challenge asking them to now add something else that they're really probably not that familiar with into their normal spiel. But we did write up some talking points, and we really encouraged them to talk about it when they're greeting their guests. But also we created some business card size cards that while they're talking about it, they can drop on the table, and it has QR codes that they can download to their phone. So are you a loyalty guest? No? Oh, well, we can check it out.
Check presenters, and when the check drops, something behind it that is just another nice hint in case the server forgets, but the server also sees it. So then the next reminder to go to the next table and bring it up. So it's a little bit on let the guests realize it for themselves, but also the server. And, over time, it's just in their playbook, really.
Yeah. And is that the number one kind of channel to get app downloads?
It is, because when you look at the amount of people that come through our doors each year, it's a significant amount. So we really have to get them while they're in our locations.
So do you know how many people you serve on a daily basis?
Daily basis, I don't have those numbers. I think it was, what was it last year? Like 2.5 million guests came through our doors collectively.
For the year.
Yeah.
And then what % of your guests have the app, do you think?
We're still pretty low. So again, enrollment is our number one focus still. We're a year in, but enrollment is still the focus. It's getting people to sign up. And we're happy with where we're at right now.
Yeah, we're over 20,000 guests, which is really great. It's grown tremendously, obviously, over the past year and continues to grow, especially as we expand as a company. So I think that, to have 20,000 in year one is pretty good.
Right. And then do you know how much each customer spends in your restaurants per year?
We do. We have the average spend for each loyalty guest, which is, again, significant, and it's higher than what non-loyalty guests.
So if you took the 20,000 and you multiplied by that number of how much they spend, did the app pay for itself yet?
I think so.
You think so? It's close.
Yeah.
But now every day moving forward is not only paying for itself, but hopefully paying for additional features and benefits.
Correct. And again, with that knowledge base and based off what we learned based on guest behavior, we're also able to introduce new campaigns that interact with guests, and hopefully whether that's encouraging signups or getting that customer to use the app more so than they have. So visit challenges, for instance, maybe we can target a guest that's only come or a group of guests rather, for one visit over so many months and if we can target them just to get to that 2 and just to get to that 3rd visit, all of a sudden they're coming and more, and that increases revenue overall, but that check average starts to go up too.
Absolutely.
And I think when you talk about enrollment too, and that being a focus of ours, there is still a lot of areas of opportunity for that. One of the ones we've been talking about a lot lately is we do have a lot of concepts that are more bar focused. So you have a younger demographic, you have a higher amount of volume, especially on a weekend night. And those are the places right now where people aren't using the app and they're not scanning their receipts, but there's a lot of receipts to be scanned. How do we get that demographic to sign up and use it more frequently? So that's something that we're working on now, and hopefully that'll kind of boost enrollment big time.
And that's also our next generation that's going to be sitting in the fine dining restaurants that we also have. So,
yeah. And so what features would you say? I mean, obviously loyalty and points is probably number one, but what other features do your customers go to the app for?
Content. I think, we have a news source within there. We just launched a blog on atlasrestaurantgroup.com's website, and we've incorporated a lot of that content as far as happenings, restaurant promotions, events that's in our app, as well as exclusive promotions just for a loyalty program. We just announced a partnership with the Ravens this week, and which is really exciting.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
We are proud to announce that we are a proud partner of the Ravens and official sponsor of Purple Fridays. So we'll have certain promotions active at certain locations like the Valley Inn and Chop Tank, Watershed, both county and city, $12 burger and beer every single Friday. But with that, we also are going to unlock giveaways, right? So you get burger and a Miller Lite beer on a Friday.
It's just at some participating location.
Correct.
It's close to one to me here. Okay, we're going to have that deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love Watershed.
So we'll see you there every Friday.
Yeah. So I know it's Purple Friday. Will that deal also be on Sundays then?
Yeah, just on Fridays.
We have,
Friday. So,
it's really happy hour special. We also have game day menus on Sundays. So that's
okay.
separate in itself.
Now, do you update the menus then? Because your menus change all the time. That's one of the beautiful things we love about Atlas is the menus change, right? How do you make those changes in the app?
So because of that, we decided instead of actually putting the menu within the app, we link out. So when you see view menus within the app, you're actually just then being linked out to the restaurant website, because those are always updated on the site first.
Got it. So they are updating and they're basically PDFs living on the website, and that's what gets linked to. I see. And then ultimately it ties into point of sale too.
Yes.
Which always gets updated as well.
Yep.
You're very good about keeping everything updated. Yep. It's hard to do. My wife runs our restaurant down the street called the Mind Pub. We have Mindgrub and Mind Pub, and our incubator's Mind Hub, and I'm sure we jumped the shark with the name by now. But we have chalkboards with the menu, and we have online. And just updating the chalkboard and updating the website's a pain, right? But you're on it.
We have a solid marketing team, and we have a design team in-house. We really built the team like an internal agency, because we are supporting all of our locations.
Right.
So, and we do have some field help too. So our operators in the field have InDesign access, and they're able to help with that too.
That's good. You're on it. So sounds like everything's just going amazingly well. But what were some of the other challenges that you faced, particularly with developing? What were your challenges working with a company like Mindgrub? We make and market software for clients, but a lot of our clients are already pretty involved in tech. Obviously, you guys had point of sale, you had internet, like there is some tech, but it's mostly IT tech. What were some of the challenges in working with a partner to make your own software?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, you basically could have gone one of two ways, which we talked about a little bit, but you can go the out of the box type of app.
Build or buy, right?
That plenty of companies use and it's effective, or you can go custom, which is a much bigger lift, much bigger investment in money and time. So I think a challenge originally, so we decided to go that custom build route. We were building it way before the loyalty program even launched. And then when you launch it, then you understand the behavior of guests and what they're looking for within the app. And then you have to reinvest and make some changes within the build to, appease these guests. So I think originally it was we were basically launching blind, and we were kind of guessing at some of the features that guests would want. And then after some time, we reinvested and made some tweaks to the app, thanks to your guys' help.
That was an add-on.
That's an add-on. That was based off of customer feedback, server feedback. Guests, if they forgot, they couldn't add their points later, and how could we encourage them to do that? So if you leave with your receipt and you forget, you can scan at your home within 48 hours and add those points. And that's been really huge for us.
Huge.
Yeah. So how did you get that feedback? I mean, obviously customers love to complain to, waiters all the time, but then how do the waiters make it to, how would they get that feedback to you?
So for that issue specifically, it's was helping myself in a way,
Yeah.
because they would email and say, I visited here.
Who would they email?
They would email like the info generic email attaches my receipt. I wasn't able to get my points. Can you add it? And after doing that a certain amount of times, I was like, we need to figure out a solution.
Oh, yeah. So before they could just scan the QR code, they had to type in a number.
So within the app, there's a QR code that the waiter could scan.
And if the waiter didn't do it at the time, they were out of luck.
Correct.
So the QR code is, because I remember when we added that feature, and that's when people started trying to jump all over my receipts, and then I finally got the app because I'm like, wait, I want that.
And it honestly, it serves two purposes. It's
Yep.
one, to get people to scan who have missed, but also now there's this QR code on everyone's receipt, whether they're a loyalty member or not. And now they're wondering, what's this at the bottom?
Right.
So
I wonder how many times people are leaving their receipts behind, and your wait staff probably has an amazing amount of points, right? Like they're no dummies, or are they not allowed to?
No, they are not allowed to.
And it'd be interesting. That could actually be another security measure too, that we would know who paid for the meal, and then cross-reference that credit card data with which app actually scanned it in.
Yeah.
And so you could see if somebody generally never pays for a meal, but they have all these loyalty points, right? That might be a little suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Is the fraud department looking into that at all?
that is high on our list.
Where would you say the future of Atlas is going as it relates to like your technology footprint?
So like Joe mentioned, obviously 1 year in our belt, we've learned a lot from customer feedback and just receiving the data and what we need to do to improve not only our loyalty program, but obviously the app in itself as the engine. So we're looking to do a phase 2. We're starting to research and plan that all out. Additionally, we are trying to integrate more AI and pre-programmed communication. So it is running in the background, almost like a CRM that is nurturing our customer base, and it's not so manual, and we want to get more proactive with our guests. So integrating AI not only into the app in itself, but also other platforms that we use like OpenTable and our POS and other systems where some of those AI capabilities are already built in as, those companies get smarter and smarter with things.
Absolutely. AI is going to be everywhere. It's prolific. It's our biggest service line taking off.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the features I love is just Google, the simple chart that shows busier than usual or not. When I'm trying to go out and, pick like, hey, where are we going to go to dinner? I look that up, busier than usual or lighter than usual, right? And Google tells you that. I'm like, okay, if it's busier than usual, we're not getting a table, right? But that's it. All we have is this little like bar chart of how busy a place is. Have you thought about advertising availability? So if I'm going over to Monarch, right? Like obviously I should have reservation, but if I think I'm just going to show up there, and the app sees that I'm like, hey, it looks like you're walking toward Monarch. There is a 40-minute wait there, but did you know there's a 10-minute wait at Lock Bar?
Yeah, so the geofencing is definitely on our radar, and it's something that we're looking into for phase 2, especially in Baltimore specifically. While you're walking around Harbor East, there's a ton of different properties. So it's a matter of how can we utilize location to manipulate this guest behavior, who is basically a free agent at this point. How can we pull them in?
Absolutely. If they go to a competitor restaurant, but they have your app on the phone and they've got location services turned on, you can slip and be like, hey, there's a seat waiting for you at Lock Bar and we have a free appetizer for you, right? Exactly. And that might just route them right over there from a competitor restaurant. So geofencing obviously makes a lot of sense. Are you currently using like push notification services on there?
So we do use push. We have not enabled SMS yet. Again, just trying to learn that customer data as far as what they're enrolled in, what they want to opt into and what that split is and how do we communicate with our guests the way that they want, not the way that we want to them. That's important.
Yeah. So we use push, but it's also it's a balance between overwhelming them and getting exactly. So we're still kind of trying to figure out that cadence as well.
Yeah. If you're getting push notifications in the middle of the night, that's not any good. But if I'm walking around Harbor East and I get a push notification for availability at Lock Bar, then that is excellent. Let me pull up some questions from the audience. These are not vetted, so I'll stop short if any of them weren't there, but I think they're pretty good. John Vogel asked, since the successful adoption, are there other plans to add more tech to your experience over and above loyalty app? But I think we just answered some of that, maybe some geofencing. What other features are you considering?
We would love to integrate an actual wallet into the app. And what I mean by that, whether it's Apple Wallet or you can store your credit card in there and actually pay through the app. Again, we're trying to make a seamless platform.
The reason we didn't from the get-go is because the App Store and Amazon Store take a percentage of any
They do. Yeah.
transactions.
Thank you. That happen through the app. So originally when we were launching the app, we didn't want to be giving out percentages to these other companies, but we wanted to see what the guest behavior was first. And it's clear that people want that. So
also gift cards. So right now gift cards are separate, right? So they're either physical in your wallet or they're in your email. And if we can integrate loading your gift card into the app and then you pay through that, that would make it pretty seamless as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I never used any of the Apple Pay or Samsung Pay or any of those until I forgot my wallet one day. And I was mortified. I was treating a client. I realized like, I don't have my wallet on me. Yeah. It's just so convenient. I didn't realize there was a fee. Is that fee higher than credit card fees, which are normally like 2 to 3%?
It is higher. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was higher. It was high enough for us to go the other direction.
Yeah. But it might be convenient enough that
now it makes sense. Now that we understand guests and we have a certain amount enrolled, now it makes sense to look into that again.
I think also just to bring up again, our next generation 16 to 25, as we start to hopefully integrate them within the app and the bars and get them into our higher end restaurants, they're using it.
Right.
So what are the different devices that they're using and how do we integrate them to get them into the loyalty program?
Because it's all going to be digital,
right?
So you're still taking cash, although I see lots of places won't take cash anymore.
That's right.
I understand the inherent issues with cash management, but yeah, they're not taking cash, definitely not taking checks, but the Apple Pays are getting very prevalent. Are you able to interact with app members to vote on future content, recipes for both dishes and or drink recipes? That's an interesting feature.
Yeah, but I think that could be something that we explore again with the reason the blog came to light is because our guests are craving more content. They want to know, they want to plan. We have so many restaurants. There's different experiences at each one. It would be nice to share either, recipes and voting and get our chefs more involved. And I think it's a great
idea. All right. Well, Jorge, good idea. We'll get right on that.
Yeah.
Michelle Hamilton asked, what does Atlas use as a CRM and how does it integrate with the app?
So our CRM for the loyalty program is Patronics. So it's a national program. I looked into a bunch when we were first starting up, and Patronics was the one we decided on. They have some other really notable clients that they service. So that's who we went with, Patronics.
And does marketing have a separate CRM then?
So we don't. So OpenTable really is our hub for customer information. We really lean on OpenTable and Patronics.
But OpenTable will give you like, hey, can we get all the email addresses of our customers? Will they give that to you?
They do, if you make your reservation with your email.
Okay. So, but you can get information from OpenTable.
Yes.
Does Patronics provide, other than loyalty, does it provide other typical CRM functionality?
No.
No. So it's really a loyalty program.
Truly wish we could integrate it all into one CRM.
Right. Obviously. Then the automation comes into play, right? So, and that's where AI will really come into play is if you understand the customer, you understand their buying behaviors, and let's say, they're always going for, discount wings wherever, but they don't know that Block Bar has, Ravens Nights with discount wings.
That's again where Patronics as a backend for us is so powerful because we've tied check data with the customer data. We can see the frequency. We can see how many visits are happening. So we can create different email campaigns based off of how frequent they come in, what they spend or what they don't, and any other offerings. So it's very personalized and automated like a CRM.
And then you just got to get that into the push too.
Yep.
So not just the email, but turn that into the push. So, you have basically your bot sitting there and doing all the analysis and knowing when to drop that perfect push notification right before they depart the city and, want to catch happy hour or not.
Yep.
Okay. So next question, does Atlas or the app rewards apply to private dining events or only normal dining?
That's a great
So great question. So speaking of advancements that we did based on guest feedback, originally, no, you could not tie your large private dining check to the loyalty program. But we have since raised that rule. And now if you have a private dining event, you can scan and get your points for that, which is huge.
It's a great incentive for our private dining team, in business development, obviously encouraging and getting those rewards.
Right. Right. Now I have to look into it.
Or you having your loyalty party.
All right. The next question we have from Bridget O'Neill asked, what, if any, is the driver for staff to push guests to sign up and utilize the loyalty app? Is there an incentive process for Atlas employees to help drive signups moving forward? I think we talked about it being a script, but do you incentivize those?
I've done some contests
With leader
corporate wide, exactly.
Yeah.
Who can get the most amount of guests enrolled today?
All right, we have another one here. Michelle Hamilton asked, she had the CRM question. She said, I book a lot of private dining through Atlas. Dinners of 25-ish people. Is there anything on the horizon for private dining events? So similar to the other question, if we can use the loyalty, but I think maybe the question is a little bit more like, is there some potential different programming available or maybe different specials? It's not very specific. Maybe Michelle can chime back in and ask this, but anything on the horizon for private dining events?
No, again, just incorporating the loyalty program into receiving those points obviously encourages, why wouldn't you want to get basically money back, right? It's pretty significant. One of our guests just got $1,500 back, that's huge. And other restaurants, other private venues aren't really doing that. But we're always, our private dining team is always talking to the customer, always trying to gain insight and feedback, whether it's different menu development or different spaces as we look to expand and what they need as far as hosting their guests.
All right, let's see. Erin O'Boyle asked, how do you leverage the data analytics from the app to inform your other digital traditional marketing tactics? So the data in the app itself, how does that translate into where to place billboards maybe?
So obviously we have birthday data, right? We also know where they're signing up from. We also know if they choose to fill it out, their favorite restaurant. So if we know where they like to eat, where they're from, how old they are, how frequent they're coming, that all plays into what we're marketing to them. Whether that's placing digital media buys, whether that's informing us on other maybe magazine placements at a certain location where our customer base is, what we're super concentrated in. So it's really informing all of it.
All right, let's see. We have a question from Isabel Shapiro asked, can you talk more about triple points on Sunday? That's news to me. What's triple points on Sunday?
So we have a couple different campaigns going right now. We have Purple Fridays, obviously, which we talked about, but triple points and double points. Triple Points Sunday is every single Atlas location. You will receive triple the amount of points what your check is that day. Triple Point Sunday is something new for us. We're really trying to encourage whether, you watch a lot of NFL games, go to the bar, get a ton of rewards on that, or you're having a fine dining experience at Monarch, we're getting those points as well. So we're really trying to encourage our guests. Obviously, Sunday and Tuesday isn't as popular as, Friday and Saturday, but hopefully that incentivizes our guests to come and visit us.
Sounds like Scrabble, double points, triple points, maybe, you get double points on the soup, the day. You have, yeah.
Chef wants to push a certain dish, or if there's a new dish that he wants people to come in and try.
Right.
We'll incentivize that one dish with double points.
Right. Absolutely.
But obviously casting our wider net, we don't want to limit our guests. If you only do that one dish, how many people are going to come for that one dish? So if we cast a wider net now, we can learn that behavior, and then we can start to narrow it and to target a location for a specific item.
And do you use Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Restaurant, right? Do you do inventory management in there?
We do.
Across all the restaurants. So you could conceivably tie inventory management into your point system, to try to push more soup or anything that the day dots are going to expire soon, right? Day dots is basically everything that you serve in a restaurant has a day dot, which tells you the day that expires. And that's hence the soup joke. Because a lot of times when you've got like these 5 things that are all expiring in 2-3 days, you're like, I'm feeling a soup.
Even with wine, we've talked about doing it with certain wines. If we're sitting on a case of wine for a little too long, let's start to move that. And how can we do that? Well, now they're turning to us, where before they were trying to do all of this in-house within the restaurant. So
Right. But now you guys have the audience. You've got the channel to start pushing a wine on. That makes a lot of sense. All right. So 2 quick last questions here. First, do reward points expire? They do. What's the duration of time on that?
So, your points don't expire, but the rewards you're receiving, so the dollar amounts is 90 days. That's the flat one for your normal rewards. So come in for brunch this morning, at least. We'll give them $10 and we'll have that just expire within a week or 30 days or whatever. We change it, but your core program, you're going to expire 90 days after you receive it.
And Patronics has all that settings that you can do to do that. Oh, that's wonderful. And then the app, as we integrated with Patronics, just responds to all of that.
Yep. It showcases those expiration dates within the app.
And Jorge had one last question, which I think is a great finisher. So if he wanted to know personally, if there was one feature that each of you would like to have added to the app, what would that feature be?
The gift cards in there.
Yeah, the gift cards will be huge.
My wallet is huge. I still have random gift cards that are so old. I would love that to be integrated into the app.
Right. So would it be like if I bought you a gift card, then it would just show up in the app and be like, hey, Todd, Erin bought you a gift card. Here it is. Voila.
Either that or
I would give you the physical gift card and then you could scan it and then
scan it and load it.
Right. Does Patronics also have gift cards?
They do, and we use that. So it's
going to not integrate in the app.
Exactly. It should be a relatively easy integration, but we just have not taken it.
And do the gift cards have a QR code on them too?
The e-gift cards do,
but not the physical gift card.
Not physical.
So that would be a little tricky to get the physical gift card.
They have numbers.
Oh, they have a number on it. Oh, perfect. Okay, so you can just punch in the number. Yeah. All right. So Joe, can't use gift cards now.
I mean, the QR code was huge for me just because I was the one
missed visit,
inputting everyone's missed visit in the back end every day. But other than that, I don't know. Nothing I can think of.
Yeah. So maybe more QR codes here and there and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have QR codes on the bottles of wine and stuff, right? Like, to find out a little bit more, like, virtual sommelier.
Yep.
Telling you about the different wines.
Yeah.
Well, great. Erin, Joe, thank you from Atlas Restaurant. It's been a pleasure talking with you about your rapid growth in not just Baltimore, but nationwide, your use of the app for loyalty, for customer retention, for increasing revenue. And we have learned so much. So thank you. Thank you for being here. So Todd Marks, tuning out from Baltimore, Maryland, and here with Joe and Erin from Atlas Restaurant. Thank you.